Have you been doing any kind of stock sales, day trading, but you don't really know how to report it? You come to the right spot. Welcome to the video where we're talking about the Schedule D, IRS Form 1040, capital gains and losses, how to fill the form out, how to explain. This is an introductory video where we're talking about the actual Schedule D. You know, I'm Deonte Burden, aka Mr. Short Dollar himself. I've been doing a series in regards, I've talked about the different schedule forms, A through E, where I explain and introduce each form and how they what they're used for, what goes on them, what information is needed for each, and also how they transition to the IRS Form 1040. With that said, guys, again, this is the capital gains and losses form, IRS form Schedule D. And you see the different sections here, with your name, tax ID number, social security number, actually a section for short-term capital gains and losses, general for assets held 1 year or less. Part 2, long-term capital gains and losses, general held for items that will be held for more than 1 year. And to start the process of using it, well, first to go to the purposes for the IRS form Schedule D, the sale or exchange of capital assets not reported to on another form of schedule, gains from involuntary conversions other than from casualty or theft of capital assets not held for business or profit. Also, asset sales include the sale of home, car, boat, furniture, stocks, just to name a few. And keep in mind, guys, this is not just if you actually made money, it's also to report a loss if you did any kind of capital asset sales. That means stocks, if you bought it for $5 and you sold it for $3, you still want to report that loss in these forms. Pretty much forms you need. Annual brokerage statement. We'll talk about those stock sales. When you get that big thick booklet at the end of the year, you've been doing all kind of different stock sales. Even if you dabble and dabble, it's a little bit smaller. This is where you take that information and place that for the actual Schedule D. Upon getting started, guys, this is your form 8949. A lot of times I would tell you this, guys. Most people won't actually be doing this from a manual perspective because, again, you're not really familiar with it and you don't use this on a day-to-day basis. But 8949, sales and other disposition of capital assets, this is going to list the particular assets that you actually did the sales for, and you'll take that information from that brokerage report that you got if you're using E-Trade, I'm just trying to think. TD Waterhouse, TD Ameritrade. It has so many combinations. Or Charles Schwab. You'll take the actual information for that and place it on here. With doing that, most of the time, if you're using any kind of tax software, you'll actually input the information and they'll system generate these forms for you, the 8849, and then transition the information over to the Schedule D, and then transition that information over to the 1040. So the software pretty much do most of that work for you. But what we want to do in this video is actually introduce you to forms, let you know exactly what's put into the system and how it's applied to you with doing it, because far too often people ask questions that they can't answer. They're always calling the tax person or going to the software, but they still really don't know what they're doing, okay? So right here, you start off with that 8949. Again, this is two sections. They have a section for short term, and we said under a year, and long term over a year. And you see right here with that box A on part 1 of 8949, sales and other disposition of capital assets. These right here were 5 shares of ABC, bought in January 1st, 2022, sold in March. So they was held about 3 months. Proceeds, what you sold it for, the cost of what you purchased, and then that's the net gain. Sold it for $500, bought it for $50, and then had a gain of $50. Then we go to page 2. I'm sorry. Page 2, these are items that were held longer than a year. Had 100 shares of ABC. Bought those in 2018. Sold them at the end of 2022. Sold them for $600. We actually bought them for $300. And then you see right here, guys, that'll be the net amount, $300. Guys, it's not uncommon, especially if you have from the short term and long term, that number, that sale date could be listed at various, because various purchase date in regards to that, one of those sales. It may not be one time, but it may be a cumulative of that. So that's not uncommon sometimes for the actual acquisition date to be listed at various. The sale date is the sale date, but actual time you purchased it, if you know it's going to be over a year or under a year, it's not uncommon to have various in that, depending on the actual range that you have with that. But if it's a cumulative of different transactions, it's not uncommon to have various in the actual acquisition or acquired date. But you see right here for the long-term assets, you have a net gain of $300. Short-term, $50. Long-term, $300, right? This information is then transitioned over to the Schedule D. Right here, you see the two sections of the Schedule D we talked about earlier for short-term assets and then long-term assets. Like we discussed earlier, that total number, keep in mind, we're going off the total. So if you have these particular items, that can be 6 shares of sale, 10 shares of a particular stock, all the information. This is the information at the very bottom that's transitioned over to the Schedule D. Same thing perspective with the long term. The information at the bottom is what's transitioned over to the Schedule D. So when we get over here to the Schedule D, this is page 1 of the Schedule D. You see right here for the short-term assets, the total proceeds of that very bottom number, 500, cost of 450, net 50. Again, we're gonna go back there so you see that again. This is the total. So if we have more items here, it'll just be filled in here, but we're going with those bottom line numbers, okay? It's right here, the two where it says totals, and that transitions over to right here, line 1B on your schedule D, okay, on page 1 of your Schedule D. Same thing here, you see right here for the long-term assets, 600, 300 with a net of $300. Same thing we went those long-term. Remember, all these different transactions can be here. We're still gonna go on line number 2 for the long-term assets at a net of 300. So right here on page 1 of your Schedule D, you'll see right here we got 50 total for short-term assets, 300 for long-term assets. And then page 2, you see right here we'll have 350 being our total for the actual, for both of them, okay? Short-term, long-term, that's our total. And that 350 transitions over to our 1040, line number 7. Capital gains or loss attached Schedule D is required. Not required, check here. We're not going to worry about that because we got the Schedule D filled out. And that's the total 350, right? We see where it starts at from we listing everything on our 8849. That total number transition to the Schedule D, and then the total from the Schedule D, page 2, it transitioned over to our 1040. So now you have a great idea exactly how the information is acquired, what's used to get it, what forms are used first. You know, it's not as easy as you guys thought, simple as you guys thought. Because again, most of the time, if you use any kind of tax preparation software, they're going to system generate that stuff for you. But at least you know now exactly where it starts and comes from. To take advantage of more great information just like this, make sure you go to Mr. Short Dollar YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, where we talk about personal finance, business, entrepreneurship, real estate, investing, and business. Easy way to subscribe to the channel is make sure you hit this $ in the bottom right-hand corner, and also make sure you hit the bell to get a notification each time we upload a new video. Make sure you check out the other videos we have for the different schedules that we have from Schedule A through E, and take advantage of all the great information we have listed on those particular videos, and also to make you more knowledgeable exactly how the different forms are set up, what the purpose is, and how to transition over to the 1040. Take care of yourself, guys. Be safe, and talk with you soon.